So today we're looking at the brand new ThruNite TS2 LED self-rescue light. All right, you can see in the box here, it is running on a 21700 lithium ion battery, of course rechargeable, and this has 5000 milliamp hours. All right, it's a LED, it's good for outdoor and sports, emergency and maintenance, and also phone charging. It's a really big deal. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look inside the box. First you're presented with the light. Very interesting package. All right, take out the insert here. You can see we have an accessory, which is a magnetic tail cap. Okay, this is going to allow you to hook this onto anything that you want, so you can have this hanging. Very nice accessory. All right, put that off to the side. Then we have our bundle charging cable. All right, it has multiple heads, which we'll look at in a moment. And then we have our instruction manual. Let's go ahead and open this up. Take a look at this real quick. This is in a couple different languages. All right, you can see, if you pause there, you can see the specifications as well as our outputs. All right, on high, we have 118 lumens. That's going to run for 11 hours on a full charge. Medium is 40 lumens. It's going to run for 30 hours, which is a very, very long time. Low is 5 lumens for 180 hours. That is plenty of time, I would imagine, to get through an emergency. And finally, SOS mode is 118 lumens, and that will stay on for 20 hours. All right, you can see here the chart on how that cable works as well for charging, not only your battery, but you can use this as a battery pack for emergencies to charge your phone. And then you can pause here if you want to read about the operation. Now, these lights are currently $29.95 through ThruNite's website direct, or you can find them on Amazon, and they should be available in both cool white LED as well as warm white LED. So what's really interesting about this whole system here is obviously it's a flashlight, but it's also an emergency charging system. All right, so the first thing you notice is a very different design here with this case. The whole light actually pulls out of the case, and it is magnetic. Okay, so if you see, as I put this battery in, you can kind of see it kind of suck in a little bit, even if it's sideways. It's not because of gravity. So there's a magnet on the inside of the case, so it's going to prevent this from accidentally falling out. You'd have to really whip this hard to get it out, but even me trying to pop it out, there we go. It takes quite a bit of force, all right? So under normal circumstances, there's no way this is going to accidentally fall out. But what's really interesting is once we take this out, we can see it's very simply the battery, but the entire flashlight is actually just a plug-in unit that's on the head of the battery, okay? So all we have to do is pull this way, okay? And it will disconnect from the charging port. So this is basically your entire flashlight right here, okay? Again, this is the TS2 LED. It has a diffuser dome that's on top, and you can see the little piece right here, which plugs into the charging port, okay? So this is the light itself, but obviously you want to have a protective case, so that's where this comes in, all right? But it's very easy to take that out, okay, if you ever need to use this to charge. So taking a closer look at the battery here, all right, very unique, very different. You see the little picture on here, USB Type-C, all right, for the charging. The input is 5 volts, 1 amp. The output is 5 volts, 1 amp. All right, it says charging, green blinking. Fully charged, it'll show green solid, and discharging will also be green. All right, you can see the ThruNite Emergency Light Power Bank rechargeable battery. So they have a whole different setup here. Now the head of the battery is where things get really interesting. This is totally new. I've never seen anything like this before. I think it's awesome. There's a tiny little button here, and you can actually check the power that is in the battery at any given time. All right, it says press 3 seconds and then see the battery power. So it's teeny tiny little white button. You're gonna push and hold for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And you can see that in this case it is 50% charged, and there's actually little indications there. So 25%, 50, 75, and 100. So depending on how many dots, it'll let you know how much power is left in your battery. That is super, super cool. I mean, this is brand new technology. I've never seen this before on a light. I think that is extremely advantageous for anyone just very curious. You go to grab this light, especially because this is intended for emergencies. And in an emergency, you want to know how much power you have in your battery left. And when you're all done checking the battery power, it's very easy to just pop that back onto the battery and slip this into the tube. It is really, really simple. So real quick, I just wanted to mention this accessory again. This is actually really awesome that they've included this. Very simple battery for the tail ends, and just has a simple carabiner hook. This just gives you a lot more options for mounting if you wanted to hang this from inside of a tent. You know, the sky's the limit, really. They can give you a million different ideas, but it's just nice to have that contact point. But if you chose not to use that contact point, of course, this does tail stand, which is very important, especially for an area light and a power outage. And if you notice on the back end here, there are 2 lanyard holes. Okay, so you could put other carabiner clips through here, split rings through here, if you want to carry this on your keys or something, or attach it to a bag. So there's plenty of attachment points depending on how you want to use this light. So here's the charging cable. All right, you can see on the USB side it's going to charge. You could pop that head off and you have your USB-C, which is really cool for faster charging. All right, just depends on whatever power source you're using. Now, if I come in close, you can see the other end of these charging cables. It gives you 3 different options. You have the older style here, which is the USB Micro B. Then we have the current style that a lot of different cell phones and different types of electronics are using, which is the Lightning cable. And then we have the more futuristic and probably the more common in the upcoming years, USB Type-C. So to use this, it's really easy. Today I'm going to be charging my cell phone here, right, which is an Apple iPhone. What I'm going to do is first remove the whole battery unit from the case, put that off to the side. Then you're going to remove the actual flashlight head part. All right, then we're going to go ahead and plug this into the side of the battery. I'm using the USB-C. And then this cell phone takes the Lightning cable, okay? This is an older iPhone. And you can hear that it just turned on. And as you can see from the corner there, it is currently charging. Now, as this charges, you can see that the battery indicator is lit up on top there, letting you know how much percentage of the battery power is left. All right, so you get a quick indication of how much power you have to use to charge other things. Now, it is worth noting that the button on the light is not protruding very much. It's kind of recessed here. All right, so if you use your thumb and you press over the entire thing, sometimes hitting the button works fine, sometimes it doesn't work as easily. This is to prevent accidental turning on of the light. So in some cases, if you're having an issue where your whole finger here is just not doing it, just use the tip of your fingernail to actually click the button. You could feel the difference. If you're just pushing the side, that happened to click, I could feel it. But if you don't have a solid purchase on the front of the button itself and you push maybe the top panel here or something, nothing's gonna happen because you're not actually pushing the button. So just an important little note here, if you find that it's just not going on or off easily by pushing the side, use the tip of your fingernail to make sure you're actually hitting the button there. So to cycle between the modes, first you're going to push it once to turn it on, then you're going to push and hold it. And a long hold is going to cycle between low, medium, and high. Of course, you can just let go once you get to the mode that you want. And again, the high mode is 118 lumens. And keep in mind too, because of this dome, it is completely diffused. All right, so there's no specific throw or any kind of like hotspots or anything. This is just a wall of light that's going in every which direction. Again, keep in mind that this light is supposed to be used in emergency situations, so area lighting is very, very important. But you can see, hold it back a little bit, and you have nice, smooth lighting. At any point in time, you're just going to press it once to shut it off. All right, in order to access the SOS mode, you have to double click it. All right, you can see the quick blinking there, and then it's going to go right into the SOS mode. So quick 3 and then a slow 3. Quick 3 and a slow 3. That's your SOS. All right, and again, the SOS mode is 118 lumens and will run for 20 hours straight on a full charge battery. This one shows half power, so this would run for about 10 hours if I left it on right now. And just, again, a quick press to shut it off. I really like the layout of this light. Unfortunately, there's no mode memory. So my only critique on this light is I wish that the first mode was the highest output. All right, but it's not that big of a deal to turn on and then just do the long press to cycle to medium and then high and then let go. All right, because more times than not, I'm probably going to want the highest mode. Of course, there's always going to be pros and cons. When you have your highest mode, it'll have the less runtime. 11 hours is still plenty of time for a lot of emergencies that I may deal with. Where I happen to live, there's a lot of, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but there's a fair amount of power outages during the winter. So having lighting that's quickly, available, but not for, multiple days. Obviously, you want to conserve the battery power if you're going to have this for multiple days in some kind of emergency. In that case, you'd want the lower light modes. Now, another thing that's nice is its small form factor. I mean, this is barely just bigger than the battery itself. It's 4 inches or 103 millimeters long, and it only weighs 3.7 ounces or 105 grams. it is a very, very simple system. I mean, as you can see, it's literally a battery with a tiny little flashlight head that connects via that port, and then of course slips into this battery case for protection. All right, you don't want anything to actually bump the battery itself. All right, so we have the TS2 and hit the button once. Now it is on. Now you can't see it reflecting off the wall yet. If I hold it in front of the camera here, you can see it on its lowest mode. But again, this is not directing the light in any specific direction. It's putting it all over the place. So even though the camera's not picking it up, I can see in front of me the little garden section here, which I use for testing all the time to compare different lights, but it's very dimly lit. So let's go ahead and push and hold. All right, so we can pump this up to medium. Now on medium light, you can see the trellis. All right, and again, it's just evenly dispersing light in every which direction. And we're going to push and hold to go to high. So in high mode, now you can clearly see what's in front of us. I do like this nice warm white LED that's in here. So that's pretty much it for up close. You know, it is a great area light. However, it's not going to actually project up into the trees or anything like that. So there's no point in trying different areas. But if I hold this, let's say to the left, and then scan to the middle, and then off to the right, it is quite literally just an area light. All right, so if I hold this up in the air, you can see how that's projecting. And that's pretty much it. Something else worth noting is that you can buy just the batteries from some other companies, and the batteries alone are $30. So to have this entire kit for $29.95 is actually a really good deal in my opinion. Not to mention you can use this battery in other flashlights if need be. So if you happen to already own a couple different ThruNite flashlights or other branded flashlights that use 21700 batteries, at the end of the day you still have a spare battery. So for some people, for EDC or maybe an emergency bob bag in a vehicle, it's a great addition, because if your normal EDC light takes a 21700 and that battery dies, you can go to your TS2 and just swap out the battery. So really cool system. I do like it quite a bit.